The DC Extended Universe has made its fair share of hits over the years, and like any major production company, has also had its share of hiccups. Despite the success of Wonder Woman and the buzz around Aquaman, the recent departure of Henry Cavill from the role of Superman and Ben Affleck's possible exit as well has some fans wondering, could the DCEU be coming to an end? Make sure to hit the red subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay up to date with the latest from ScreenRant. While the DC characters of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman have been beloved staples of movies and TV for many years now, a few recent hiccups in what fans call the DC Extended Universe, or DCEU, has people wondering about the fate of some of our favorite heroes. Understandably, it's almost impossible to compete with the box office domination of the Marvel Cinematic Universe since the franchise took off with Iron Man back in 2008, and aside from a couple of ideas that didn't quite pan out, they're still going strong, with no plans to slow down anytime soon. While these two comic book and movie giants have really different things to offer and untold amounts of characters to explore between them, they unfortunately are always in competition with each other at the box office. While this kind of competition can be exciting and lead to really bold new choices, it can also put a ton of unnecessary pressure on the filmmakers to churn out hit after hit, rather than letting them focus on telling new, innovative stories. While some might say that Marvel has the upper hand, the DCEU is packed with amazing talent and a bottomless well of cool characters to dust off for audiences. DC has also brought us some amazing classics, not to mention the fact that the early Batman films from the late 80s and early 90s really kicked off the whole superhero movie craze to begin with. And then again, with Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Trilogy, the entire genre was sent in a newer, fresher, and much darker direction, reshaping the entire concept of what a comic book movie could be. Things have been undeniably rocky as of late though. Some believe that the trouble started in 2016 with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. With Ben Affleck as a promising new Batman and Henry Cavill back as Superman fresh from the success of The Dark Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice had a ton of potential to be a smash hit. Fans walked away a little disappointed, however, when the movie didn't deliver on everything they hoped it would. Fans seem to agree that it had all of the right things going for it, but its overuse of CGI and effects took away from the story, and that despite the solid performances from the strong cast, it lacked humor and an understanding of the characters' comic book origins. Some did enjoy the film though, and when it was announced that they would be tying in some other choice characters in a follow-up movie, fans again began to get excited. With so much hype surrounding the 2017 Justice League movie, it was a bit of a crushing blow when it ultimately didn't quite live up to their expectations again. There was a ton of pressure on the movie to deliver something fans had been waiting their whole lives to see, and while some were totally pleased, others couldn't help but be disappointed. While the challenge of competing with the wildly successful Marvel's The Avengers is huge, the sparks just didn't seem to fly in this movie despite its all-star cast. And then there was Suicide Squad. When a movie builds up as much insane hype as the promotion of Suicide Squad did, you have to wonder if it's even possible to meet those kinds of expectations in the end. With a trailer that was so cool, the cast who were so promising, and not to mention a ton of behind-the-scenes rumors about Jared Leto's unusual on-set behavior, fans just couldn't wait to feast their eyes on this spectacle of bad guys. And while some did and continue to love the movie for its cartoonish, colorful, and over-the-top madness, the majority couldn't help but feel like something was missing. With reports about studio interference and creative differences circling the underwhelming release, no one really knows who's to blame for what happened. Recently, with the news that Henry Cavill will be taking off his Superman cape for good, and following rumors that Ben Affleck might be doing the same with his utility belt, fans have been wondering just what the fate of the DCEU will be. Some believe it could signify the downfall of the franchise, while others seem to think that a bit of a shakeup could be a positive change. It's been reported Affleck won't be reprising his role for Matt Reeves' upcoming The Batman movie, which Affleck was originally supposed to direct, though nothing has been made official at this point. That doesn't stop fans from speculating though, and one of the most intriguing rumors out there is that Jon Hamm could be next in line to take on Bruce Wayne, which sounds like a match made in heaven. Reeves has described the Batman as a classic noir inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and could see Batman getting down and dirty in the heart of Gotham. So while these things might seem like some pretty big speed bumps along the DCEU road, there's still a ton of good that's been coming from the Warner Brothers studio. From Justice League, we were introduced to the totally new and awesomely updated Aquaman played by Jason Momoa, who's set to launch his own empire with the upcoming Aquaman standalone movie. We also got to see more of Gal Gadot's flawless Wonder Woman, whose 2017 standalone broke records all over the place and made fans of the character jump for joy. The sequel, Wonder Woman 1984, is also arriving in November 2019 and already has a ton of buzz surrounding it. And of course, Margot Robbie's gloriously insane and and pitch-perfect Harley Quinn, who, whatever your opinion of Suicide Squad is, was a clear favorite of all the film's villains. Deadshot was another standout from Suicide Squad, and Will Smith has been very open about being in talks to lead a Deadshot movie of his own. The Joker has always been a fan-favorite character, and in the next couple of years, we're going to get our fill of the deranged clown prince of crime. First, the recently released images of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker out of makeup sparked excitement all over the place. Set in the 1980s, this origin story is being produced by Martin Scorsese, and with a supporting cast that includes Robert De Niro, Zazie Beetz, and Marc Maron, we could not be more excited for this one. Secondly, there's still a Harley Quinn and Joker duo movie in the works, which could bring back both Margot Robbie and Jared Leto to reprise their roles. With a script by the writers of Bad Santa and executive producers of the TV drama This Is Us, the script for this movie sounds totally insane, which just might be perfect for the villainous lovebirds. Along with that, we also have the pleasure of seeing Harley again in the much-anticipated Birds of Prey, which keeps getting better and better the more we learn about it. Pitched by Robbie as an R-rated girl gang, it's rumored to feature Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress and Journey Smollett-Bell as Black Canary, among others alongside Robbie. Directed by up-and-comer Kathy Yan, this has all the makings to be extremely awesome. With Ewan McGregor in the mix to play the antagonist Black Mask, we've got a lot of hope that this movie might just be epic. We also can't forget Gotham City Sirens. While there is some speculation about whether or not this film has been replaced by Birds of Prey, there is still a ton of hope out there that this movie will get made. Gotham City Sirens would again feature Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and she would be joined by Catwoman and Poison Ivy. There isn't any other casting confirmation, but there have been rumors that both Megan Fox and Rihanna are favorites to take on Poison Ivy, and Catwoman was of course most recently taken on by Anne Hathaway. While movies like this can sit in development for a while, especially with the uncertain fate of David Ayer's Suicide Squad 2, we would jump at the chance to see any of these badass characters on screen together. And while the details are being kept pretty tightly under wraps, there are some really interesting rumors about the upcoming Supergirl movie swirling around. The most interesting is that it'll be set in the 1970s, and will be the origin story of Kara Danvers, aka Supergirl. While this might change the timeline canon of the DCEU so far, there is something very intriguing about a Supergirl movie that isn't really linked to Superman or the rest of the universe. Among all of the other films on the upcoming DCEU calendar is Shazam, whose trailer already has a ton of positive buzz around it. The story of a 14-year-old foster child named Billy Batson who transforms into a man-sized superhero when he says the word Shazam looks like a huge departure from the more recent DC movies. Where they tend to go for gritty and dark, Shazam looks like a lot of fun, but still with the potential to explore some really interesting ideas. And while we do have a lot of love for the serious spectacle that has been the DCEU's calling card since Christopher Nolan and his Dark Knight Trilogy, it's pretty fun to be reminded that these are comic books after all, and that it's okay to have a little fun with them. These stories are supposed to be fantastical and larger than life, and are so capable of blending humor with heart and awesome destruction all at the same time. Setting their movies in a different time period and exploring the origins of their characters seems to be a new direction that the execs over at Warner Brothers are interested in taking. With more than one of these standalone character studies in the works, it seems totally possible that these behind the scenes of the DCEU are exploring other ways to tap into their massive canon of characters. While it works for Marvel to tie everyone into the same timeline and universe, it's a pretty exciting idea that DC could cut the reins and not be so strictly bound by canon. By doing so, it can leave the filmmakers open to exploring the amazing myriad of characters in the DC comic universe that they haven't even touched yet, and also give us stories about our old favorites that we've never seen before. Seeing as how these movies have introduced all sorts of audiences to characters that they might never have known of before if they weren't into the original source material, this change in direction could continue to do that in a huge way. There's already lots of talk about developing movies based on slightly lesser known, to those outside of the comic book world, characters in the near future. Shazam and Birds of Prey have already begun to do this, and there's more on the horizon. There's a Cyborg movie in the works for 2020, a newly refreshed Green Lantern movie called Green Lantern Corps set for the same year, The Flash, a movie about Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam being developed right now, a Deathstroke standalone, and a film directed by Ava DuVernay about the New Gods. While we can only know so much about what the Warner Brothers and DC executives have in store for the future, and while some stories might work when they all tie in together into the ultimate movie, the idea of a future full of movies about DC comic characters, each with totally different styles, directors, and casts, sounds pretty thrilling. So while some might think that the DCEU is coming to an end, that end might be more of a new beginning than anyone could have predicted. So there you have it. What do you think is the fate of the DCEU? Are you Team Marvel or Team DC? And which of their upcoming movies are you most excited to check out? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to catch all of our exciting new content. Thanks for watching.